With the municipal election only days away, we continue to chat with candidates for city council as well as for the mayor's chair. Well, not all of the mayoral candidates responded to our interview invitations, but today we do have the opportunity to sit down with incumbent Blaine Hyggen, who joins me now in studio. Blaine, great to see you. Thank you for being here today.
Great to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Awesome. Okay, so Blaine, you have served one term as mayor of Lethbridge. Prior to that, you were on council for, I think you said,
for
two terms, right? Yeah. Okay, so looking back over the last 4 years, how did things go overall for you? Were there any particular things that you saw as significant accomplishments? What are you most proud of?
I think there's many things that we're very proud of as a team, and you'll notice it's not an it's a we, because really it is council that makes these decisions, and so through rigorous debate, and sometimes there's not always the friendliest debates, people will think, but honestly we're done with the questions, and we move on. And so some of the things that are really stand out to me is where we're moving along with our housing strategy, doctor recruitment, although that's not a municipal thing, this is more provincial. The advocacy work is extremely important. And then on just public safety and working with the police and the funds that they require, the commission, to be able to do their job adequately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was a big win for you guys. It seems like the crime has gone down. There's a lot of boots on the ground with LPS. Okay, so Blaine, on the flip side, looking back, were there any things that could have been handled better?
Well, one in particular I'll touch on. I know a lot of people think that you want to stay away from it, but it's the exhibition. And the reason I bring that up is we are supposed to be experts to listening to the experts. And why I say that, and it's something that comes up from Councillor Parker, and I always give him the kudos for that. But checks and balances, when we're provided with information, and we believe that information to be correct, we're a governance board, not an operational board. So when we get that information, we want to make sure that we follow, good governance is listening to experts, and so we did that, and probably maybe checks and balances could have been done even more than they were. However, we're working through that, and I'm really happy with the building that is there and what's come from some of those struggles.
Yeah, no, exactly. Every election, pretty much every candidate says that they're going to be fiscally responsible. So do you have any specifics that you could share as to how to accomplish this? Will the city be able to keep taxes down, for example?
Absolutely. Something that I've brought up here before has been of concern is the tax rate of being 5.1%. If you go back 5 years ago, we had a 0.00, because during COVID we had businesses and residents that were struggling with trying to make ends meet. So we decided to keep the tax rate at 0% just in order to alleviate some of those stresses and concerns. I'm a business owner. I felt it. I had my business closed for quite some time, and so I felt that. But also the community at large. So those that weren't business owners but were still citizens that went to jobs that maybe were closed. And so, it was a struggle. The COVID was really played a role on taxation, I'll say, in the long run, because we need to do a little bit of catch up. When I say 5.1%, when you average it out over the last 7 years, you're about 2.2%. It's still, I would like to have 0% taxes, but there's a lot of different services that we provide that do come at a cost. And so, we're trying to do the best we possibly can. We had laid off probably about I think it was about 40 or 50 management positions with the city. And so finding efficiencies, if you can't find revenues, you need to, and revenues only come via taxation. Mm-hmm. And so you need to find the efficiencies. And so that is of extremely important to look at.
Yeah, definitely. Is there a way to find efficiencies or to cut back spending in certain areas?
We've directed the city manager to exactly do that, and especially going back to the exhibition, it's something that we don't want to have that tax increase. So we were told that we could put the tax increase up to 7.8, I believe it was, from 5.1, and council decided not to do that, and to try to find over the next couple of years efficiencies and to create more revenues there at the exhibition, so we won't have to go to taxation. And so they're working very hard with that, management at the exhibition, as well as our city manager, who is on the board, to try to find those efficiencies and create revenues, and so that we don't have to go to taxation for that.
Okay. Blaine, I understand healthcare is one of your priorities in this election, the Cardiac Care Center and attracting more physicians, as you were kind of alluding to earlier on.
Absolutely. It's something that has been, again, it's a provincial thing, doctor recruitment, et cetera, but there's so much that we can do because those doctors reside within Lethbridge. So we want to make sure that we work with those doctors and make it a place that they want to raise their family and work. And so the Cardiac Center has been something that has been near and dear to my heart. Sorry for the pun there, but it's important. We should be able to get the same services that are provided in larger communities like Calgary and Edmonton. And so I'm a co-chair with the Cardiac Sciences Advisory Cabinet. And we've got the go-ahead for the Cardiac Center at the hospital and Center of Excellence, cath lab, et cetera. But we're looking at the timelines. We need to tighten those timelines because we say it's going to be a few years out. I think we can do that quicker. And so it's a lot of trips to Edmonton with a colleague of mine on the board, which I co-chair with, and that's Dr. Zielke. When she came to town here 10 years ago, there were no cardiologists. She was the first one, and now we have 7. I think it's going to be 8 here shortly in Southern Alberta, and that's thanks to the work that she has done. So we'll continue that advocacy work. I was also appointed to a South board, medical board for recruitment and to find out the challenges that we're having in our particular area. And I was appointed by the Minister of Health to do that. And so lots of moving parts, lots of things going, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
You know, it's not uncommon for accusations of fraud, scandal, conflicts of interest, and the like to come out during elections. And I know, Blaine, you've been dealing with it for the past week or so. Yeah. I guess I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, or if I didn't give you the opportunity to speak to it or to respond to any of it. So you've certainly not been immune to this time around. So let's take some time to just chat about a couple things. So first up, can you talk about one allegation involving your 2021 campaign manager, Dale Zielke, who's, I guess, the husband of Dr. Sayeh Zielke. Yes. So the backstory that we've heard is that his wife, Dr. Zielke, who's the cardiologist that you just mentioned there, the CEO of Assisted Living Alberta, appointed you to the Cardiac Sciences Advisory Cabinet as co-chair while Dale was still serving as a member. So some see this as a conflict of interest, not only because Dr. Zielke is your former campaign manager's wife, but because you've also allegedly said that she's a good friend of yours. You've referred to her that way in a 2025 campaign video. So can you maybe clear the air on some of that?
Absolutely. First off, Dale Zielke was not my campaign manager, so that's the first thing to clear up. He did help me with my campaign, absolutely. And I befriended them when they first moved to town because I wanted to be able to offer any assistance I could because we're in doctor shortage, especially in specialists. We struggled to get specialists, so I did everything I could to be able to support them so that we could bring more doctors into Lethbridge. And so I got to be friends with both Dale and his wife, and Dale did help me on my campaign. Again, was not a campaign manager. We go through the paperwork, you'll see that he was not listed as a campaign manager. However, did do a lot of work with me. And so as far as a conflict of interest, there's a lot of time that I travel to Edmonton. And when I talk about cardiac services, as I'm trying to sell Lethbridge as being the best place to be able to put some of these services, I take an expert with me, and that expert is Dr. Zielke. So if I have questions about what type of equipment we may need,
you're not the expert in that.
Yeah, I'm not an expert, so it's important to have her there answering those questions. And so it's actually the opposite. I've done a lot of work on my own to make sure that we get this through, and it's going to benefit our whole community. I have heart condition issues within my family, and we have the largest per capita heart disease, and that's right here in Lethbridge and surrounding area. So I just want to make sure that those services are available for the folks here in Lethbridge. As far as that conflict, I just don't understand why that is even a question, because there's absolutely not a conflict.
All right. Okay, Blaine, the other conflict of interest allegation stems from your current campaign manager, Shilpa Stalker, who was also John Middleton Hope's campaign manager in 2021. So last year, in her role as president of visitlethbridge.com, she sought revenue obtained by destination marketing fees to the tune of $750,000 to be allocated to have the NMAX Center Sportsplex be renamed visitlethbridge.com Arena. So let's hear your side of the story on that whole.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that question. And again, similar to that of Dale Zielke, Shilpa Stalker is not my campaign manager.
Okay.
If we go through the paperwork, I am the sole person on there. I have not got anyone listed. However, Shilpa is a friend of mine, and I met her through this campaign to raise funds for the cardiac center here in Lethbridge. And so I knew her before, didn't know her all that well, but I knew that she liked to do a lot of philanthropy work with her family in Lethbridge, and so approached her, and Shilpa and her family gave $500,000 to the cardiac center. So through that way there, I was, as I'm campaigning to get dollars for that center to be built, I developed a friendship with Shilpa. She's a hardworking lady that is someone that I thought would be really great to be able to help me with this campaign. So going back to when the decision was made way back for renaming of the NMAX Center to the visitlethbridge.com Arena, that was a procurement process that went out. So there was no direct award. I believe there was 8 people that bid on that. visitlethbridge.com, so Lethbridge Lodging Associations, were the ones that won that. So and what that means is they have a 5-year contract at $750,000. This is not taxation dollars. This is the opposite of that. This is an organization that is funded by the hoteliers in the community, and they put that $750,000 into that advertising, their advertising budget, and that is to rename the center as a visitlethbridge.com Arena. The reason they do that is because there's many different events that come to the visitlethbridge.com Arena, and they benefit from the hotels, and so they've taken those dollars and have put that towards that particular marketing idea that they had, as well as chuck wagons, et cetera, that they do to bring folks to Lethbridge. And so as far as a conflict, I'm not sure where the conflict would be, and I've asked, and I don't get a response back because there's no dollars given to them. Full procurement process was in place. They were the top person that put forward the funds to rename that. And so I know a lot of people said I don't like the name, but I myself do like the $750,000 that doesn't come from taxation, that was given to us to be able to use for other expenses within that organization. So and that visitlethbridge.com Arena. So $750,000 for 5 years with a renewal of another 5 years at $750,000. That's $1.5 million. That does not come from taxation, thanks to in part to the Lethbridge Lodging Association and those hoteliers that have invested in our community.
Okay. I do want to ask about destination marketing fees. So the Alberta government is going to be introducing legislation in November to oversee the collection and use of destination marketing fees. So while collection will be voluntary, any funds collected would have to be remitted to a destination, like a designated destination marketing organization, so, or to a designated accommodation association. So in light of these fees being used to fund the renaming of the arena, will future fees collected be going to visitlethbridge.com or to Tourism Lethbridge?
That's something that's out of my bandwidth. That is not a city decision.
It's
that would
provincial.
be because it's a provincial, and not only that, the Lethbridge Lodging Association has nothing to do with the city of Lethbridge. They are just they're someone that has donated dollars to that arena. So that's something I couldn't answer, especially until this comes out here from the province. But I don't know what that would look like.
There are some current concerns that have been raised about visitlethbridge.com, representing mostly big chain hotels and not all local hotels. So how do you ensure that fees are collected and handed out fairly?
Absolutely. It's a question that I had. So can any hotel be a part of this Lethbridge Lodging Association? And the answer is yes. So that is available to everyone. That is not just taking those that bigger hotels or the fancier hotels or whatever. That could be any hotel can be a part of the Lethbridge Lodging Association. Again, not something that we deal with as a city, but a question that I had as well, because I want to make sure that it was fair and everybody had the opportunity to be a part of this, especially with what's happening with the destination marketing information that's coming from the province. So I just wanted to make sure that I had that information. So anyone is available to be a part of that.
Okay. Blaine, thank you. I know that a lot of those questions took up a lot of your time. I wanted to make sure that you also had the opportunity to talk about your platform a little bit here. You've been door knocking. What are you hearing mostly at the doorsteps? What's the biggest issue?
You know, what I've heard at the doors is that, you know, although we've done a lot of work, there's a lot of work still to do. And I know that many folks at the doors have said, you know, if we have somebody new in there, they're going to have to be caught up. And I know when I first came into being the mayor, it took a couple of years to really get that understanding, create those relationships, if it's with other levels of government. And so we can pick up the phone and contact someone if it's, you know, Minister of Health or a Minister of Infrastructure or whatever. It's important to have those relationships, and it doesn't matter what stripe the government is. We'll work with any political group that is in the province or for the federal government for that matter. So it's, I hear that quite a bit. Continue the work with policing. We've seen that we had the third largest drop in the country for crime severity index here in Lethbridge. That's incredible. I've just heard last week the chief said that they're up to full capacity with policing. That hasn't been done for decades. So in order to have police in there to do their work, but not just that, we need to think about those that are less fortunate and are struggling on our streets, and unhoused, that we make sure that we find, you know, houses for them, and not just that, the supports, the wraparound services that they need to be able to get back to, you know, a life of sobriety, which I think we all deserve. And so we're happy to continue the work that we've started. I think we've done some incredible work as council. We're a very diverse group as council, but we do get the questions out there, and we do respect one another. This is something, in all my terms, I've never had a council that has been so respectful of each other, and that's important to get work done, is to work together.
Thanks so much for being with us today, Blaine. Appreciate you stopping by.
You bet. Thank you so much, Annette.
All right. Blaine Hyggen is a candidate vying to be re-elected as mayor of Lethbridge. That election is coming up on October the 20th. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.